showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
Okay, all right, we are in here. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of GCOM Radio. I am your host, Nova Phoenix, and I'm here to give you a little bit more information and some happiness and some, good words for you this week. We're coming with a full show. It was a little short one last week because of the holiday Mother's Day, but we're here. Thank you guys for tuning in. So turn it up. All right, so hopefully your week was cool. It was great. It was soothing. It was educational. You had some progress. Of course, even if you had some bad times, you had an opportunity to learn what you did wrong or what you can learn from the situation, even if you didn't do anything wrong, to make your life better. It's about learning from our mistakes, about learning from even our adversities. That's the nature of human beings. So we're going to get into this show, man. Let's see what we got going on. We're going to get into open mentions. We got some artists that I love to play for you guys. And of course, we're going to get into some other topics like a movie review on one of Jupiter's Rising. I saw a lot of reviews and on that's that Netflix show that came on, and I watched it and I saw some reviews on it. I'm like, listen, I got to give my 2 cents in on this. A lot of people was trashing. I'm going to be, I wouldn't consider myself a professional movie reviewer, but I've seen tons of movies over my years. I know what's good, in my opinion, and what is bad, where the director or the team or the studio dropped the ball. And I thought, I love superhero movies, so I'm going to get into that. And then we're going to get into some other topics for this show. So, all right, so let's get this rocking and rolling for open mentions. Everybody knows Michael Jai White, most famously for playing that superhero, Spawn from Image Comics. He's come out with a lot of action movies. I never really thought that they used Michael Jai White right. I think he's a great talent. I think he has a great presence on screen, but I always thought that he never got the cream of the crop directors and writers for a man of his talent, man. Heavily underused like Idris Elba, heavily underused like a lot of other black actors. But he has a career, and he's moving into his new venture by opening a studio, Gigantic Studios in New Haven, Connecticut, man. So that studio, he's following in the footsteps of my man. What's my man name from? I always forget his name, man. He's got the studio in Atlanta. I always forget my man's Tyler Perry. So he's following the footsteps of Tyler Perry by opening up his own studio in New Haven, Connecticut. And it's going to be, of course, sound stages, of office space, post-production rooms, motion capture studios, etc. The whole thing that he's going to support the people in the neighborhood. I think that's a beautiful thing. Hop, skip, and a jump from New York, man. So big ups to Michael Jai White for getting his new movie studio open, and I wish him much success in his endeavors, man. I know his first love is martial arts, but I'm glad that he's moving on with his passion in acting in Hollywood in this new movie studio. So big ups to my man Michael Jai White, man. Him and his wife, great couple, man. Love those two together, man. California is setting aside $35 million for basic income pilot program. That's by Governor Newsom. I think the mayor the governor of, they're giving him a lot of the business. Gavin Newsom, that's right. So Governor Gavin Newsom is setting this up, and then $35 million will be spent over the next 5 years. They always giving him a lot of business. Look, he's not the greatest, but you take it what you can get, and but I think he looks like a man from what I've seen, what I've read about him, that you can't sit down with him and hammer out some things with him, whatever, when it comes to local community issues or whatever. So, I would definitely, I can see me sitting down with Governor Newsom if it's anything to do with California. A lot of people have left California because it's getting, not just California in general, but the parts LA and San Francisco is getting super expensive. So I'm hoping that Governor Gavin Newsom can do something about the growing inequities that are happening when it comes to affordable housing or housing in general. So he's doing this pilot program, which I think is super dope. And it's going to be spread out over the next 5 years. Actually, Oakland started a pilot program where they're going to give about $500 million to 600 families. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti announcing he's going to do a $24 million pilot program himself for $1,000 a month to 2,000 households a year. I think it's I think it's an inevitability, as what if you already know from what I talk about as far as how technology is supremely outpacing how human beings are interacting, and I think that's the future. I think whatever is happening today is the canary in the cave, and if we're not paying attention, if we don't prepare, we're going to get hit with an anvil, man, as far as how society is going to function and how human beings are going to function within society. So doing this pilot program when it comes to UBI, I think it's a great start. A lot of critics are going to say that, people are going to stop working and, oh my God, there's going to be no incentive to work. I don't think so. They said there have been studies with UBI where people not only it not only helped people financially in their homes with their families, but people didn't stop working. They actually started their own businesses or continue to work more so. So I think it would be an interesting pilot program to actually see the effects of doing a UBI in communities in California. Now, we have a growing poverty problem, and it's funny how these critics of UBI is saying how so many things are wrong with UBI and it's gonna make people quote unquote lazy, but yet they don't have any honest answer or solution to the poverty problem that's growing in California. Skid Row, we have so many people living in tents, the homeless, what are we doing? What is California doing about the growing poverty problem? And I think if you're not able to give any other solutions that can solve the poverty issue, shut the fuck up and let these people do this UBI and see how it works. Because all you're doing is complaining. Now, it's funny, the critics of UBI, some of them, a lot of them are even are either the founders or CEOs of companies or friends of these founders and CEOs of companies that give people low wage jobs. And of course, if you're getting a UBI, you're giving people options. And if you pay people little to nothing in order to live in expensive cities, no less, what do you think that people are going to do? So it's either you can add on to UBI or you raise the minimum wage, not just as a minimum wage. It should be a living wage, a livable wage, and not just California, but any major city or major state. Because people keep on trying to kick the can down the road, or just avoiding the huge problem of poverty and underemployment. Yeah, and that is that. All right, so the other thing that I want to talk about, which is an important thing that to kind of discuss and really see what's happening, is the Israeli-Palestinian deal. And I know this is one of those hot button topics that, on either side, whether you're with Israel or with the Palestinians, on either side, you're going to get a volley of the verbal lashings from the opposing side. So it's one of those touchy things. And it's unfortunate that what I've seen on social media and on the news, and I've always, like everybody, has seen what's been going on in Israel and the Palestinians for well over a decade. As soon as I can understand the news and geopolitics and international affairs, I was always interested in what was happening from around the world. And it's funny. And my thing is, look, my thing is important to stick to the facts. And I know a lot of the conversation that's being had when it's something that any words that are against Israel is they're going to throw around the world as you're anti-Semitic. And I don't think it's that, because if I have some critiques of what's happening in politics in Africa, I'm not anti-Africa or Europe or any specific nation. I'm not anti-Germany or Romania or anti-China or some things going on now. But I think if there are some obvious things that are some human rights violations or injustices that are happening, just as much as what I talk about here in these United States of America, that, you know, it's important to talk about and to really try to figure out what is happening. And my thing is, let's just stick to the facts. And over time, I've understood, reading up on this stuff, you know, when it comes to, you know, all the stuff the news talks about with Palestinians and Netanyahu and all the previous prime ministers of Israel. And my thing is, what is the history of the conflict between Israel and Palestine? What you have to ask: the who, the what, the where, the why, and the how. You got to see who are the people, the demographics of the region, and understanding, you know, even back in the day when it was considered the Ottoman, when it's considered Ottoman Palestine, when we understand it as the involvement of the English and French control of the Arab region, and I'm saying during the World War I years and post World War I, you have to think about the creation of the Israeli state by the British and the newly created UN in 1947. You had the 1967 Six-Day War, which Israeli won and gained the Golan Heights, West Bank, Sinai Peninsula, the Gaza Strip. The UN stepping in, again trying to quell the conflict by passing a resolution which the Israelis pulled back from the claimed areas during that Six-Day War. And then you have, after that, later the Intifada uprisings, and that had to deal with, you know, of course, physical battles, the boycotts, stopping paying Israeli taxes, then the creation of Hamas. And you fast forward and you get into the Oslo Accords, the Clinton talks, which they were, you know, I think during that time, it was closest that they have ever been with coming with some kind of resolution. And it didn't really pan out for whatever reason. And right along that, during that time, was Yasser Arafat with the PLO from the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Now, Arafat died in 2005. Now, it's interesting. And I remember around that time that when Arafat died, I remember the American major news was saying, oh, you know, Hamas is a terrorist organization, and, you know, they have the Palestinian people in fear. If I remember correctly, that's what they were talking about. They were, you know, of course, against the Israel, and the Palestinian people were afraid of them, and they would never, ever, you know, get into a position of political power in the region. And, you know, they had their democratic elections that were coming up right after Arafat died. And look what happened. Hamas got elected. And I can remember laughing, like smiling about the situation, because all the major news sites are saying, oh, Hamas would never get elected because now they're having their democratically elected officially with this particular choices that the Palestinians are going to make during this election. It'll never happen. And they won. And it says a lot about what is being told to us and what is happening in the region. Of course, if it was a physical force for Hamas to take over, we would have heard it. In any capacity, if there was any shenanigans would happen, but it wasn't. Hamas is democratically elected, and the United States moved on from it. And I'm just briefly going over the history, understanding or trying to understand the issues of what's going on between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Okay, so what started this recent skirmish? Now, they're saying that there was protests going on with the Palestinians and the Israeli soldiers about some eviction of Palestinian families from the East Jerusalem neighborhood, and the situation got worse, and there was protests, everything that was going on. They started to get a little hot, and then it came to a point where you had Israeli soldiers that were throwing stun grenades where the Palestinians were retreating to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, if I'm correct. During this time of Ramadan, and they're saying that Al-Aqsa Mosque is the third holiest site in Islam. So of course, and especially if it's during a Ramadan. So you would think, wait a second, this might not go too well with the Palestinians. So after that conflict, this huge fight erupted. And of course, missiles were thrown from whether Hamas or in response, the Israelis did it and such and so forth. And now you have both sides being killed. It's unfortunate. Now, the funny thing is, everybody knows Mark Lamont Hill. And Mark Lamont Hill is a brother that he's educated. He's a teacher in tenure, I believe. I forgot what university he's in. But he talks about a lot what's happening in Palestine. He actually speaks Arabic, I think. I don't know what particular dialect, but he speaks it. I was totally surprised. But yeah, he went and did a short documentary, basically talking about the things that are happening in Palestine. And, to see what was happening, and then you see the cages, you see people fenced in, you see entire families that are locked in to these areas, almost like an open prison. And, that's what I saw when he's talking to people on the ground. And I never realized what living conditions the Palestinians were going through from what I saw in this video. Now, if anybody could tell me different, please be my guest. But it looks like an open space prison, an open air prison with the revolving gates and the high fences. It's crazy what's happening in Palestine. So this came out a couple of years ago, but it gave me a little insight of the current state of what's happening in that area. So who are the actors that started the conflict? As I said, it goes back at least 100 years. Pretty much when the English ran in with the French trying to divide the Arab regions during that time of World War I, and how it's going to be divided. And the English said they were going to give it to the Arab people at the time. Then it went to the Israelis or the people, the Jews, and they said we're going to split it with you. And then it was just kind of this double talk thing, and it never really worked out. So all of this is crazy. Now, a lot of people will say this has been a 1,000-year war, and you can see from the Bible. And I always say, you got to be careful when you're using the Bible or the book to basically come down to some historical facts on why or who should have claim to this land. Because it gets real murky, because we understand from a secular point of view that the Bible's really not reliable when it comes to breaking down historical chains of events between people, places, and things. And that's how you kind of murk up the waters when you're dealing with political, social conflict between two parties. And I just say, let's just remove the Bible and stick to historical fact. And so we can understand really why this has come to be, why there's been continuing conflict in the region. And once we understand that, what resolutions that we can put forth to stop the killing of people and the suffering of the Palestinians when you really look at it. Now, my thing is, it doesn't, from my point of view, it doesn't really do any good for the Palestinians or Hamas to attack Israel militaristically. They would get trounced, as what you've seen in the news, because Israel really has a strong, advanced military, and their missiles, they're nuclear powered. They have the soldiers. They have everything that they need to defend their nation. And really, Hamas, they have some, rockets and certain, armaments and things of that nature, but really in comparison to what Israel has, it's not, it's almost like they literally have thrown the sticks and stones, but throwing sticks and stones. Now, I'm not trying to diminish people's lives, because Israeli lives, people have died, but in comparison to what's happening with Palestinians, where you have hundreds of people are dying. I've even seen a video of a child trapped in the rubble of a fallen building. and a 10-year-old talking about in tears, crying like, why is this happening to us? Why is this going on? And it hurts my heart that you can see a 10-year-old in such anguish. And it's truly sad that we can't come to some sort of understanding with this. And I know, as far as I said, historically, as far as the Ottoman Palestine, and that the people have been there, and understanding the demographics, it was mostly Arab, Palestinians. There were some Palestinian Christians, and a small percentage of Jews that actually lived there, and they lived there and they coexisted. And now you have this today where you have the shrinking areas of the Palestinians. You have Israeli settlers coming in, as where what I said, how this whole thing kicked off on this recent conflict that we all see on the news. And I just want, look, at the end of the day, Palestinians are not leaving, Israelis are not leaving. And I kind of compare it to what's happening in the United States. Understanding, of course, everybody knows of Manifest Destiny and the obliteration of the indigenous people of this land, the treatment of African Americans in this country, Africans in America, from the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, the Caribbean, all those things. South America, of course, Brazil, because I say Brazil because they have the largest African population in this hemisphere, and everything that has happened. People are not moving. They are where they are, right? In particular, African Americans and indigenous people in North America. Now, of course, white people are just not going to leave it. The descendants of the Europeans, again, they're not leaving, of course. You're not going to get millions and millions of people is going to uproot and just leave to go back to Europe. That's not going to happen. But what you can do is right the wrongs, mend the problems that has been going on since the first Europeans came to this land, and moving forward as a new nation. And I know I'm being very basic in that. And I think the same solutions that we can implement here as a multicultural society that we live in. Yes, I say multicultural because there are all types of people that live here since the dawn of this country, since about 200 years ago, and even more people moving in from other parts of the world into America, which you have a multitude of different ethnicities, races, such and so forth. And more or less, we tend to live together and coexist. Yes, we have our problems. So taking this issue or taking what's happening in this country and trying to use it, what's happening in Israel and the Palestinians. The Palestinians are not going anywhere. The Israelis are not going anywhere. I think the best solution is to have some sort of a resolution as far as where people can live, the respect and of the Palestinians people's right for self-determination, for their right to live in a just and equitable manner. And Israelis, of course, the Jewish people that live there, there's some sort of way where people can come to some understanding of the Palestinians and the Israelis living together in that region, in that area. So at the end of the day, it's about Palestinians having the right to self-determination, having a just, healthy life where they can thrive as a community and as a people. As we historically understand that people have a right to their land. And a deal has to be made where all groups can coexist in that region. Whether it's a one state or whether it's a two state, in Israel and Palestine or Palestine, however you want to call it, as where the two people can coexist. It's not as easy as it sounds, because there's always agendas, there's always political agendas, there's always different actors that are destabilizing the process for their own political gain. There's a variety of different things that keeps this from happening. But there has to be a solution to this, and I know that a solution can be made. And the Palestinians have a right to be free. They have a right to continue on as any other people on this planet. All right, so the next thing is Elon and cryptocurrency. So everybody, Elon's talking about he's dumping Bitcoin because of its carbon footprint. I don't understand. I think Elon, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Sorry, I hit the mic with my drinking tea as always. And it's funny, right? Elon's saying that he's not going to mess with Bitcoin because of its carbon footprint. And I was talking to my guy, Danny Yee. He's a dude at my web guy engineer, the web dev guy for Lyfeblood.com. And we're talking about where cryptocurrency is going and how is this all going to play itself out, especially Elon talking about Dogecoin and investing in there. And the reason why he's saying that Bitcoin, in the way that people mine this cryptocurrency, is creating a carbon footprint that is a problem for the earth. And I'm like, the electricity it uses, and we're going to go into how much power is being drawn from several computers, or say, thousands of computers when they mine Bitcoin. And I'm like, where are we going with this? Now, I can say that I care about an environment. I've spoken about it on the show before when I was talking about that documentary with Seaspiracy. But where do we go from here when we're talking about carbon footprint and cryptocurrency? And it's the same conversation that's being made with solar panels. They're saying, well, you know what? The raw material that's used, that can be extracted from the earth and processed in order to make solar panels, can be just as dangerous to the environment as fossil fuels itself. And I'm like, are we really going to play semantics here? If you want to really break it down with how much damage we're doing to the environment when we're making solar cells, I'm like, And the same thing is the same discussion is happening with cryptocurrency, how he's moving off the Dogecoin because it doesn't have a carbon footprint as large as what Bitcoin is doing. And it just made me thinking, is that the real reason, or is this dude just making it up because he just wants to jump to Bitcoin? To Dogecoin. So, listen, there always are going to be some issues that we're going to have in whatever technologies that we can make. Like the discussion was being had as far as the wind turbines that we have trying to get energy from the wind. All of a sudden, the birds are running into the propellers. Or we can say the solar energy panels, and I forgot the name of it, where it is, but you have a bunch of solar energy panels that are in a circle. It's an solar cell farm, and it redirects the lights back to this tower, and the steam is created from the heat from the sunlight. They were saying that the birds are being killed because it's running into the stream of solar light that's being directed to this panel that's creating the steam. And I'm like, what are we gonna do? Because you can always make some sort of argument, whatever new technologies that we create that can have some sort of adverse effect on the immediate environment around it, and how we need to correct how this technology is being used in the processes that's being used to actually create the energy that we need to run this human society. And sometimes I do understand. Trust me, I do understand. But to use that as a reason to be skeptical about cryptocurrency and kind of split hairs on what cryptocurrency we should use based on the carbon footprint. How much into the minutia are we going to get into when it comes to specific technologies that we do use? Of course, fossil fuels is a problem. Plastics is a problem in our oceans. When it was come to our ozone layer, and we had to change from the aerosol cans that we use because it was contributing to the breakdown of the ozone layer. All these things I can get. Things with our climate, yes, I can get. But when we're having this conversation, my initial thought is, really, are we really going to go down and split hairs with this? We're going to get into semantics. We're going to get into the technicalities of what is being created. I don't know, man. And I was talking with my guy here, and I'm like, what do we do from here? If that's the case, it's either we shut down, either we deal with the cryptocurrency that we're currently using now, shut down Bitcoin, or we just got to shut down everything. Because the way this talk is happening is like, it's highly detrimental to our environment. Then we might as well shut down everything. Because whatever we create is always going to have some sort of a negative effect. And we should pay attention to these things, but not to the point where now, you know, oh my God, we can't move ahead with this. And because, man, it's just, man. And that's why it made me feel like, is Elon really just doing this so he could just jump ship off of Bitcoin so he can get into Dogecoin? It makes me think that. So I don't know. I think it's the future cryptocurrency. And I think the age that we're stepping into, it's pretty much, I guess I'm talking about the usage of cryptocurrency. There's a lot of different cryptos out there, and some of them will have great use, and others is just can be treated like digital gambling. There is an ultimate use for cryptocurrency, but you know, and it's going to go beyond nations. And to talk about what global currency are we going to use to really deal with different with the different words I'm trying to say, how our countries from one country to the next are really going to deal with our economy with the cryptocurrencies that we use and how they play off from each other. It's just the same thing that how we're with the talk now with the dollar and with the yen and with the pound and with the euro. It's the same conversation where we're having with cryptocurrency. And I don't know what the answer is, but you can't deny the fact that cryptocurrency is here, and each nation, each country is going to have their own cryptos, and it's going to be the same discussions that we're having right now with the currencies we're using today. But definitely, I think the cryptocurrency is reaching across national lines. And I think the discussion brings into the fact that we won't have, in a sense, borders anymore, because countries are not made as we understand it with borders. We can separate Idaho from Kansas, or we can separate the United States from China, or, you know, South Africa from Zimbabwe. I think the way where cryptocurrencies is taking us, where it will be more based on borderless societies. Because if we make one cryptocurrency that every nation is going to use, and one unit is in the United States is going to be the same as one unit in South Africa or in Ireland or in Romania or in China, you know, that goes across national lines and state lines and country lines. And now we're talking about the international community on how we're going to deal with each other in a new financial system. So that's going to be interesting how this cryptocurrency is going to mature, and what are the ramifications of actually moving the dollar out, or whatever currency is out, and now cryptocurrency is the new currencies that we're going to be using on a global stage. So that's interesting in that way. So we'll see how this turns out in the next 5 to 10 years. All right, so the next thing is J. Cole album, man. He dropped the off season. It's fire so far. I listened to most of the songs. And to tell you the truth, man, he's one of the top 5 right now as far as the new gen rappers doing his thing. It's funny, someone told me when we were talking about the off-season album, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go buy it, because he was like, yo, you got to listen to the song. It's fire. And I'm like, okay, I'll listen to the song. But this dude was like, yeah, you know, I'm saying, I'm going to buy it. Because I didn't buy it at the time. This is sometime a couple days ago. I think it was Thursday or Friday. I was going to buy it. He's like, nah, you don't have to buy it. You can just listen to it on YouTube. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm not using YouTube to listen to an album. Let me tell you something. If you are a fan of music, if you are a fan of the artist that you did, whoever, to be a number one fan, you would have to purchase their music. Purchase their music, man. Buy it. And I'm not even talking about streaming. Buy the joint. Because YouTube, I think, is well known where YouTube doesn't even pay. I think the lowest when it comes to music streaming is they're the lowest on the totem pole. They take fractions on the fractions on the fractions of a penny. So artists are not really getting paid off of that. I don't even think even the A-listers are getting paid like that with YouTube. So if you're gonna support an artist, man, you have to buy their music. You can digital download, go to iTunes, and you can buy the artist's music, or you could go to their site and buy it. So man, I think it's just stealing from people, because my thing is, psychologists have to make money, right? They learned in the field and they got to make money. Construction workers, they're learned in the field. They got to make money. Even McDonald's employees, I don't care what they're getting paid, they have to make money. Now, if you want to do the equivalent of music streaming, as I gave this a long time ago on the show, think of it as if you're a McDonald's employee, and instead of getting paid $7.25, all right, it's much problems that we having with that amount, minimum wage. If you're gonna, if forget $7.25, what if a McDonald's employee had to make money $7.25 for every, 20 hamburgers he sold? Imagine that. Yeah, okay, instead of getting paid per hour, let's say this: for every 20 burgers you sell and Happy Meals you sell, you'll get your $7.25. That's essentially what music streaming is. You get, you based on this percentage, or I won't even say $7.25 as a percentage. Say you get paid $1 for every 20, a fraction of the $7.25 an hour. That would be better fit. So that's the same thing as music streaming. You're getting paid a fraction of a penny, and for basing on amount of this, you should rack up about, if you have 200,000 streams, you should get, so you're spending 500,000 a month, you're spending 800,000 a month, and you're still getting pennies on a dollar. So, man, respect the artists that you listen to and the music you listen to within any genre. Buy the music, goddammit. All right, so the next thing is, man, I'm going on for a while. Is that Palestinian? Maybe I should have made that a separate conversation. Anyway, the NASA OSIRIS-REx, the Origin Spectral Interpretation, Resource Identification, Security, Regolith Explorer. That's a long-ass name. So that satellite is finally heading back to Earth after orbiting the asteroid Bennu to collect asteroid samples. I talked about it in news you need to know, and it's actually on its way back. Now, it's amazing, and I'm bringing that up because me reading this article online, I'm like, us as humans made a satellite to orbit an asteroid to collect samples. It orbited the asteroid to collect samples, and now it's on its way back to Earth. It should arrive around September 2023. That's an amazing thing that we can figure out. It's funny that we could do all this in space and send robots to Mars and and send satellites to orbit satellites to orbit asteroids, and yet we can't figure out the little problems that we have here on this planet. Man, I tell you, the idiot driver. This next one is idiot driver. So this dude is named Param Sharma. So I'm speaking about this because this guy rode a Tesla on autopilot. In the back seat, I forgot, I guess he had a Model S or something like that. In the back seat for the majority of his ride. He got caught, of course. He was arrested for the stunt. But afterwards, he still did it. He bought another Tesla, a Model 3, and he was riding in the back. This guy is an asshole. Let me tell you, not only did he endanger his life, but he also endangered the lives of the people around him, because the autopilot on Tesla is not 100%. That's why they have all those warnings when you read the manual when you use the autopilot in the Tesla. You're supposed to be in the driver's seat with your hands close to the wheel. So if anything happens, if the computer on board in the car misinterprets the signal or the imagery or whatever, wherever the car is in its surroundings, whether it's on a city block or in the country or county, whatever, that you can correctly intercede with the operation of the vehicle, and so you don't kill yourself or other people. This jagoff, this guy was in the back seat stunting, and what made it worse, I went to the article shared his IG account. If you go there, so he's this 17-year-old rich kid that he kind of like he belittles everyone. He belittles the artists, even I think Thugger, I think his name. I think it was to try to reach out to him to, yo, I like you, son. Yo, let's get up together. man, he was shitting on him. So this guy is totally about the Gucci, and he's, got the phone to his, the money phone to his ear and telling him about this and that. So I don't know if it's fake, if this is a whole stunt to build up followers, or if it's a real 17-year-old with all this money. But obviously he's 17 with all this money. He didn't do it himself. His parents made the money, or his father made the money, and now he's just reaping the benefits of all his parents' hard work. So he's an asshole. So I hope they take this motherfucker's license, and now he can't drive a Tesla anymore. The hell with what you can drive, you can't drive it in the United States anymore. We revoking your license. So that you can go to his I forgot what his IG page. Look up his name. His name is Param, P-A-R-A-M, Sharma, S-H-A-R-M-A. Total asshole, man. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, and last but not least, man, Jaden Smith, man, he starts a restaurant to feed the homeless. He had a food truck franchise feeding the homeless for about 2 years. Now he's actually starting the restaurant called I Love You. And if folks that can pay for the plates actually going to pay more, so they can help pay for the person behind them. So he also has a nonprofit 50c3 that's called, with Drew Fitzgerald, and that goal was to solving the poor water problem, food, shelter, and energy issues with smart design and engineering. He also created a mobile water filtration unit device called Waterbox that he actually sent to Flint, Michigan to help them get clean water in 2019. Now, big ups to Jaden, man, because as much privilege that this guy has of being a Smith, and I mean, he doesn't have to do any of these things, but it just goes to show, and here it is. It's interesting that I didn't see this until now. This is how money can change a person, make a person realize their privilege, or corrupt a person to the point where they feel that they're on top of everyone. Like, you have on one side of the spectrum, you have Param Sharma that's throwing his money and his privilege and his social status in people's faces, and he's dissing other celebrities and stuff and doing wild stunts and not really caring about his life or other people's lives, being totally reckless because he feels that money gives him that right. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have someone that has money, Jaden Smith, and that knows that money is not something that we should money is not something that we should, And on the other side, you have Jaden Smith, that he has money. He's a Smith, and Will Smith's son, but he understands money is not something that you should, money is not something that you should glorify. Money is not something that you should worship. And he's doing all these other things to helping the less fortunate, the hungry, the people without money, the people that don't have shelter, the people that have dirty water because of that whole situation that happened in Flint, Michigan. And he actually wants to do something with his life. And he wants to have meaning by giving to others, even though he does have money. He doesn't have to do it. So it's funny that I do have these two topics back to back. How we have two different people, even though they do have money, depending on your upbringing, that your worldview can be different based on the knowledge and the information that you have been given by your parents. And so big up to Jaden Smith for doing what he's doing. And, I got to give it up to him, man. Big ups to Jaden Smith. Yeah. So, all right, we're going to get into the first two songs of the show. We're going to play Chloe Flower. Her song is called Tamie, to her upcoming album that's coming soon. Of course, I played Chloe Flower on the show before, and I always love to play anything that Chloe Flower makes. Of course, it's not going to be your typical R&B or hip-hop thing that I'm doing. Chloe Flower is nice on the piano with the keys, you know what I mean? And I love live instrumentation. So whenever I get a chance that I hear something that's really dope, I do play it on. So I play everything. I know I stick to R&B and hip hop, but that's my core. That's my, that's my love. That's my first passion, my first love. I will always play that. But definitely, if there's something that really tickles my fancy, I will play it. So this joint is dedicated to her friend Tamie. And if you want to see the video, you could go to my YouTube channel. I play videos when I can get a hold of it. I also do that. And if you get to the YouTube channel, please hit the like button. I know I don't talk about that all the time. And hit the notification button because it's all about building that audience. So whenever I do get a hold of videos, I do make it a part of the show. So if you're listening to it, more than likely, possibly, if I don't mention, there could be a video. So tune in when you can. And of course, this single Tamie is all about the beauty and resilience of her Asian identity. Her friend Tamie, and that's representing of that. Of course, this is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, the month of May. So Chloe Flower really played up the visuals in this video, and I'm so digging it. The colors, the setting, the backdrop, everything. It was super dope, and big shout out to Chloe Flower. Right after that, we're going to play J. Remy, and that's kind of we played his song Quarantine and Bill some time ago, so I always try to put these songs back in rotation because they're hot and they should be played again. So we're going to get into Chloe Flower with her song Tamie, and then we're going to roll into J. Remy with his song, It's We're Coming Back with Him, Quarantine and Bill. All right, folks, we'll be right back. All right.
God, I want to hear more. GCOM Radio.
Shawty look back while she throwing the back and I'm holding it up. Shawty look back while she throwing the back and I'm holding it up. Took the time to isolate, way before you ever seen a motherfucking case. I be in and out of space, quarantine and bill essential service keep me paid. Why the bureau play no games? Georgia guiding check for truth, they hide it in your face. I don't do no dinner day, tell you show me what you got and bring it to the plate. Round the fire, feed of hate, bills nigga finna bail out. Parachuting, think your man down. Copper shooting, KKK recruiter with my brothers with me, they gon' stand down. Mask down, took a bad route. Fuck a pig, a nigga mask now. When they circle, make a glass round, man down. Closing it, took up the badge and left out from the back and we smoking it up. Blowing it, blow it like cash and she looking to smash while I'm rolling it up. Throwing it, shawty look back while she throwing it back and I'm holding it up. Go again. This too shall pass, be prepared in advance, you ain't holding it up. Closing it, took up the badge and left out from the back and we smoking it up. Blowing it, blow it like cash and she looking to smash while I'm rolling it up. Throwing it, shawty look back while she throwing it back and I'm holding it up. Go again, this too shall pass, be prepared in advance, you ain't holding it up. Throwing it, shawty look back while she throwing it back and I'm holding it up. Go again. This too shall pass, be prepared in advance, you ain't holding it up. Throwing it.
Take control.
This is GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com. Come join, be a lifer. Practice dollar power and build financial independence.
Okay, all right. So you just heard Chloe Flower with her song, her single Tamie. I hope you like the keys that she was magically playing with her fingers on the ebony and ivory keys. Super dopeness, man. I was really digging that vibe. And then right after Chloe Flower was J. Remy, played his song Quarantine and Bill before. And it's dope to keep this song in rotation on all the other songs that I get a hold of. So shout out to J. Remy with his song Quarantine and Bill. Check out his site or profile when you get a chance. So I would like to send my condolences, my deepest condolences to the family and friends of the recently passed Paul Mooney. I heard about it the yesterday. And it's heavy, man. It's super heavy that he lived a long life. He had a long career. Funny as man, this dude is funny. I went to see a Paul Mooney show a long time ago and over at Caroline's, and my man, I mean, you definitely, if you missed an opportunity to go see Paul Mooney live, man, it sucks to be you, but because his brother was he was a gem, man. He was a gem. He was real. He had all those experiences bottled up in that body and in his mind, and for him to give you his insight in his way, you know how Paul Mooney get down, man. My man was on fire. Love Paul Mooney, man. Spoke to him briefly, and he was a real chill dude, man. I'm glad I had an opportunity to see him doing his craft. So my condolences to all the family and friends, and he had a long life. And I think it's also, when it comes to these situations, there is a celebration, because it's not like his life was cut short like others that we've known in the past. He died, I think he was 80, I think. And, and it's a celebration because he got to live such a long life, and he lived his dream and his passion of being a comedian and also educated in so many ways. So I guess this is not something that in a way that's sad or dreary, but more like, you know what, big ups to Paul Mooney. And I know people are sad that they're going to miss his presence and his jokes and his laughter and his smiles, as him being a father, a friend, a family member, a confidant, what else? A role model in a lot of different ways. Shout out to Paul Mooney, man. Thank you for your time and your words and making us laugh. All right, so we're gonna get into what we're gonna get into. Business of the week. That's right. We're gonna get into business of the week, and we'll slide into the second segment. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Bringing you the business of the week and its innovative founders. It's what you've been waiting for.
As we're getting this COVID ordeal under some sort of control, people are ready to get back into socializing. It will be slow, and events and gatherings will start to come together around the country. As humans, we bring our drink of choice into interesting conversations with people, right along with our select drinks fit to our palate. Some folks choose rum among all of them. There is one rum that will be of interest to you. 10 to 1. Yes, 10 to 1, made right from the Caribbean, born out of a culture and history unique in its imagination of taste and passion. Mark Farrell, founder of 10 to 1, wants to challenge expectations of what consumers think of their rum. It's about versatility in the use, the cocktails, the blends. It's all in how you see your liking in the dark and white rums. Lyfeblood would like to salute 10 to 1 for bringing the energy of the Caribbean from that chilled glass that will satisfy the rum connoisseur and casuals as they chat throughout their festive gatherings of the moment. Cheers to you and all. All right. So let's do this and knock it out. It was a couple of words that I want to give to you guys. I didn't have a particular topic that I wanted to talk about, but it came to mind as I'm going along my travels doing what I do, as everybody knows what I do. What's my motivation? I think my title of this is My Motivation. And why do I do what I do? And there's a couple of things that's been happening that I take my time. The reason why I like talking to the people is because I get an opportunity to really talk to them honestly, and for you guys to hear my thoughts, even and everything, even when I'm messing up, even when I sound kind of dreary or kind of like low key, whatever, dry. To tell you the truth, I thought that last segment was a little dry, but you know what I mean? Everything ain't gonna be super exciting and fun and laughing and all that. Sometimes I just want to have a conversation with you guys. Sometimes I just, if it's something serious, it's like sitting on the couch drinking Grand Marnier and cooling out with some people and having a conversation with some serious subject matter. And then not everything is gonna be like highly ho, super duper, fantastical, wild type of deal. So if you guys felt that it was a little slow, my bad. I was trying to pick my words correctly, and especially when it came to the Israeli-Palestinian thing, and really be fair. So my bad if you guys had to go through that. But yeah, I'm not always like that. There are times where I'm up, and there's going to be times where I'm just like low-key, whatever, But for this one, I'm talking about my motivations and just thinking about everything that I've been seeing lately. Hopefully these words can be words of encouragement to anyone that's listening to this right now. And it makes me, I thought to myself, some people are not going to like what I talk about on this show, and it could get under their skin. And I actually thought that because the Israeli-Palestinian thing is such a hot button topic, that there's going to be people that are going to listen to this and they're going to be turned off from it. But then I was like, you know what? Who cares if people are turned off of me? I'm not saying anything that's going to put people in harm's way. I'm not saying anything that could be totally insulting. And I'm not that type of a person. There's people out there that will get their kicks and knowing that they're going to get those clicks online because they're going to say something wild and crazy, right? But I'm just like, not like that. There are going to be times where I'm going to be hype and open, and there's going to be other times where I'm going to be like, yo, this is a touchy subject. We gotta come across with these words with some responsibility, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what I do. There's always going to be a person that's not going to like what I'm saying or what I'm doing. So you're just going to have to push on. And I'm using my experiences that I hope that any one of you guys that's listening to this right now, you can take it under your belt or put it within your memory bank. Is, you know what, if you're going to go out and achieve the world, whatever your motivation is, whatever that you want your life to be, you have to understand that there are going to be people that not going to like what you're going to say. They're not going to like what you do. And it doesn't matter if you're mild-mannered. It doesn't matter if you're boisterous. There are people that are just going to tear you down just to tear you down. And because of that, you just got to keep working. You got to keep grinding. You got to keep pushing. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't really matter. No matter what, you keep working. Because remember, we are not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here sitting where we are. And I can speak for myself. Living in a nice place, living fresh where I'm at. You know what I mean? How should I put this? Because I was about to say give a hint of where I live and my location. Of course, I don't even know why certain people just open to telling where they live. You know, especially if you have a huge following, people going to try to find you. You know, people are smart. So where I live at one point was considered a very low income, the hood, as they say. But, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And there are going to be people of on a higher tax bracket that's going to come into the neighborhood and change it around. And all of a sudden you're living in paradise. And that's why I tell people it's not how you live, even though, yeah, you may be poor. It's not what you do with the little pennies that you have. It's what you do with the time that you have. And if you can't do it by yourself, it's important that you get people of like mind together so you can do it together. Because, of course, a man that may have, I want to say can sing, another person may have money, another person may have a connect to a club, another person can know a drummer, another person can know someone that's studio. But if you do it together and you bring all your talents and your resources and your connects together, all of a sudden you have a product. You have something that people are going to remember you by forever. So that's why I always kick on Lyfeblood.com of the group effort. That we're not individuals anymore doing what we do. You have to do it in a group effort. Nobody does things on their own. Don't wait for someone to like you in order for you to get where you need to go. Don't wait for someone to stop being racist. All right. There's some things that, you know, you say at your job that you kind of like say in a murmur, or some things you don't say at your job because you don't want to jeopardize it. But when it comes to your passion, man, just let it go. Because there's going to be people that's going to be racist towards you no matter what. And you can't let that stop you. And don't wait because you just don't have it where it should be. Don't wait. Expect people not to like you. Not everyone is going to be on your side. That's a fact. Some people have their mindset on watching you fail because it satisfies them. It satisfies their insecurity. So don't wait for anything, for anyone, or for any moment to just arrive when you feel that it should arrive. You have to go and get it. There are things that I'm doing that hasn't been done before. That's why I continue to do what I do. Nobody has done what I'm doing right now. No one. Well, no, yeah. Well, you have a social. Everybody, not the way I'm doing it. If you're right there from episode 1 and everything that I was talking about as far as Lyfeblood.com, yeah, you're gonna get a good handle of what I'm thinking, of what I want to do, my goals, my objectives, and it's going to work through social media. Then you have a good idea. But if you're just tuning in now to this show, if you've been tuning in for the last 5 shows and you really haven't gone back over the over 100 of episodes that I have published or posted or put out there, You're not going to have a full picture of what I wanted for Lyfeblood. So I continue to do what I got to do. Even knowing of the adversity and the struggle. And the fact that as far as VC, even though VC money has doubled in 2018 to 2019, that only 1% have gone to black business. I understand this. But I keep pushing anyway. I'm not going to stop. I know that there's going to be that mountain that I have to overcome. I'm not going to stop. I don't care how long it takes, because I know this fact is in front of me. So I have to figure out another way around it. I was listening to Roland Martin on one of his shows. He says one of his talking points on the show with the guest that he's had was the fact that not a lot of ad money goes to black businesses. It's just like the VC industry. It's 1%, 2%, nothing. So you buy all these products. You buy the TVs, you buy the phones, you buy the iPads and the couches and all these things. But how much money is given to black media businesses? Okay, how much? Black-owned media, not black-operated, not black-targeted media companies, black-owned media companies. And he was breaking it down. You spend the money. Some of that money should go to you, but as we know, it goes to the status quo. It goes to the dominant companies the brands that we're aware of. But if you're spending money on these products and you're making them millions of dollars, don't you think that some money should go to at least 10 to 15%? Group M said in an article that even Roland Martin said that they pledged 2% to black-owned media over the next year. That's pennies still. So if you're making a portion of their profits where it soars into $10, $50 million, $60 million, you should get a good portion. Let's see 10%, 12%. So Roland Martin knows this as the show that he has. He knows this, but he pushes on. But I think it's because that this is a fact that he asks for donations from the people that view his show religiously. And there's just certain things that we have to deal with no matter what. Some people may say, yo, Nova, when things gonna get easy? They talk to themselves. When are things gonna get easy? When will there be a time when black folk is gonna get treated fairly? I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, what I can say is, what are you waiting for? You can't wait for people to give you freedom. You gotta fight for it at every step of the way. It's not gonna magically pop in front of you. Oh my God! All right, then we no, man. You gotta keep fighting every step of the way. That comes to what we deal with as black folk in this country. Is also what you do as an entrepreneur, a new founder. You're always gonna have those obstacles that you're gonna have to work yourself your way around. You're always gonna have to do that. There are people that's not gonna deal with you. There's gonna be mistakes that you make, big mistakes, small mistakes. There are going to be times where it's going to be slow. There's going to be a time where things are going to be fast, but you have to be prepared for it. Nobody's going to do what you're going to do. Nobody's going to have the passion that you have. Nobody's going to have the vision that you have. So guess who's going to be your biggest cheerleader? You. Don't wait for people, man. None of some of the biggest companies started out with just a small idea in a garage, and a lot of people didn't see where this was going, but now they're billion-dollar companies. So expect people not going to really care what you're doing. Expect it. Because they're held up by their own shortcomings. That they can't see the grind. They can't see the sleepless nights. They can't see the failure and the rejection. They can't deal with that. They can't see it. Some people are comfortable knowing that they fit right in that pocket and they're not going to move. At least they're good. But you have passion. You have heart. You have courage. And that's a big attribute that you got to have when it comes to be a founder, or entrepreneur, or trying to find your passion. You got to have heart, man. Ain't nobody going to have it like you. So what's my motivation? Doing what I do? I'm the only one in the game. Especially where I want to take this brand. Knowing that what I'm dealing with, my motivation is knowing that I'm going to be the first one on the block doing what I do. And I see it clear as day. Yeah, other people don't see it. That's fine, man. That's the path that I have to walk. And I'll get there. And you will get there too. What's your motivation? What grinds you, man? What makes you pop your eyes open in the morning, man? What's the last thought on your brain when you go to sleep? You want more and you deserve it. Because there is abundance. I'm going to post that on my IG. There is abundance. There's no such thing as scarcity. It's just imagining you having it and visualizing it. You got to have it. What's your motivation? Don't let anybody stop you, man. Don't let anybody get into your head. And when I think back on it when I was younger, I knew there were times where people got in my head because I wasn't sure. I was like, well, maybe I need validation from this person. This person. One person that couldn't see it. All of a sudden, you're going to have this one person that can't see it stop you from living your dream? Because one person doesn't see it? There's 8 billion people on this planet. But you're going to let one person get in your head. Here's a quick story, right? So there's a guy that I follow. Last thing I'm going to say is Black Sands Entertainment. He's a Black-owned comic book company that I forgot the name of the comic book, but it's based on ancient Egyptian setting and characters, and they have superpowers. It's super dope. I love everything what this brother's doing. I follow him. That's great. So I'm reading the comments, and I'm just scrolling down off of one of the many posts that he puts out there, and someone just crapped on everything he was doing. He was like, well, whatever, right? So I'm like, who is this person, right? Who is this person that said this most negative statement? So, of course, I would like to look into it. I clicked it, went into the profile, and this time, a lot of times that I've seen when people crap on you and what you're saying on IG, when you go to the profile, it's, what do you call it? It's private. I'm like, really? Yeah, okay, yeah. Of course, you're gonna crap on somebody when you got a private profile. But this particular individual had his profile open. And you know what I discovered? The man that wrote this, boy that wrote this negative comment on Black Sands Entertainment's page on one of his posts was 17 years old. Because he has all his information on his page. A 17-year-old boy living with his parents, because you see pictures of his parents, at home in Nigeria. You heard what I said? A 17-year-old boy that lived with his parents, in Nigeria, a country halfway around the world. And that's what I say, don't let people get in your head. Don't let that one person get in your head, whether it's in real life or whether it's online. Because here it is, imagine, this young boy posted that negative comment saying, your comic's not all that. And this man made well over 100,000 copies a month of his comic. And raised, I think, $1 million, something crazy. And just got posted in the LA Times. This man just tossed out his negative comment and let it land on his page of Black Sands Entertainment. You know what this boy was doing? He was projecting. He was projecting his own shortcomings, his insecurities, his perceived failures at 17, so young. That's why he posted that. Because everything that this man done with Black Sands Entertainment is everything that little boy isn't. And I'm not knocking the little boy. He could be so much more. And he could run his own company. It's $1 million, $1 billion company. But in that moment in time, he is stuck mentally. Stuck. So all he could do was toss out that comment, that negative comment. So I say that to say, do not let anyone stop you. whoever it may be. And it can even come from a billionaire. It could be coming from Mark Cuban, like say on Shark Tank, and shits on your idea. Keep pushing. You know how many companies made a serious amount of profit after they were on Shark Tank, after they got shitted on Shark Tank? What's your motivation? I know my motivation. Anyway, all right, so I'm going to get out here. That's it. I appreciate you guys listening to me on this one. So we're going to get into the next couple of songs. What are those songs? All right, so the next songs is going to be Kiah Victoria with Another Life. I really dug that song that I heard. Big ups to Kiah Victoria. I'm looking forward to really finding out who you are, all your past music and all the music that you will make. And then after that, we're going to get into, a little bit more like Clutch Royale. I played plenty of songs of his. I heard this next joint, and we're going to play it again. Clutch Royale with his song Jump. We're going to get into it. We'll be right back. All right.
I'm static, so small, the purple and gold of it all. This is a sunset, and we both know, no matter how perfect the glow, you gotta let go. I was so afraid to say I love you. That was something that I never said out loud. Never out loud. I wanna take the best parts of you. With a little bit of me, we'd be so proud if we could figure it out. But I can't ignore it, the feeling in the morning. You're leaving, maybe in another life we can make another life. All that I'm keeping, my calling, my meaning. I won't stay another night if we can never make another life. You panicked. Did I push it too hard? How am I supposed to react when you tell me my dreams don't align with your stars? I was so afraid to say I love you. That was something that I never said out loud. Say it out loud. I wanna take the best parts of you. With a little bit of me, we'd be so proud if we could figure it out. But I can't ignore it, the feeling in the morning. You're leaving, maybe in another life, yeah. We can make another life. All that I'm keeping, my calling, my meaning. I can say another night if we can never make another life.
It's GCOM Radio.
I am one of the flyers
on iHeartRadio.
Royale. They say, oh they say. They say, oh they say. Look, I stepped in the booth. I'm telling no lies, I'm giving the truth. Got nothing to lose. They calling me put in the way as your proof. The move that I'm on is strong, is wavy, it's coming together like as soon as it crashes, passes, dashes, enemies plotting to take your life. For it's never nice, fool is never right. Now the gates are open, cloud is rushing by. How to stay afloat, more than cruising by. Feeling like quitting, got too much pride. Having that closure is in your eyes. Feeling a rush, but you missed the high. You wanted the peace, but your soul is fried. Go on, buckle yourself, cause we about to fly. We about to fly, yeah, we taking off. Ain't no need for change, yeah, we break them off. See the vibe is smooth, but the road is rough. Started that weekend, was out of love. Made it out of mud, but felt like I'm stuck. I tried to do better, wasn't enough. Had to go through it, I'm feeling something. Fight post locked, ain't running, I'm feeling free. With my family, jam straight mood, you know I feel the seasons. Led by God, ain't out, you know I'm out here killing demons. Nice Sky Bill, but this black king, he don't need many reasons. I fight for kingdom, sound off the beacon, need it, just that moment. I'm climbing my ditch, these hoes can't hold me, how you know me? The man back then, he's young and hurt and needs some coaching, holy. The dreams that gave me life, same ones my soul was searching, lurking. You know that the enemy working, how it's gonna feel when you make that jump? Take that risk, start that run, walk that walk, fight that fight, gotta feel something, feel that wave, bright new day, no more pain, stay the same, no more L's, win that game, know you gotta make that jump, take that risk, start that run, walk that walk, fight that fight, gotta feel something, feel that wave, bright new day, no more pain, stay the same, no more L's, win that game, New goals, new year comes and goes, you know you missed out on this new growth. Haven't seen your path as rocky, had to change out the roads. Tried to switch the lane, ain't changed, it seems just lost all control.
Listen up.
You're listening to GCOM Radio.
Thankful for my brethren, had to fight regardless. See the enemies, they lurking, looking for their target. I had to live life on a swivel, I'm just getting started. Honing on the craft, I'm making raps so I can float right on them. Living in pain, it ain't the wave, see how I'm breaking it down. And see that there's more than what's on the phone, there's reasons to move, just look around. Live out your dream, as real as it seems, just take the first step and then hit the ground. Running for something is better than nothing, but first you make that jump. Take that risk, start that run, walk that walk, fight that fight, gotta feel something. Feel that wave, bright new day, no more pain, stay the same, no more L's, win that game, then you gotta make that jump. Take that risk, start that run, walk that walk, fight that fight, gotta feel something. Feel that wave, bright new day, no more pain, stay the same, no more L's, win that game. Look, I got like my homie Kendrick. Growing every day, shout out to all my brethren. We gon' make it through, you know we got that message. Here to spread the truth just like an email to me. I got like my homie Kendrick. Growing every day, shout out to all my brethren. We gon' make it through, you know we got that message. Here to spread the truth just like an email.
All right, man. That was Kiah Victoria with Another Life. Dope joint. And then we have Clutch Royale, as I said, coming back with another fresh joint called Jump, man. Yo, where did this... I had to ask this brother. I haven't got a response yet, but I'm like, where do you go and shoot these videos? If you go to Clutch Royale's YouTube page and choose any song, and like in this particular one, Jump, he takes the most scenic videos. Yeah, I don't know where he goes. I'm like, does he do these videos on vacation? Like he brings his drone with him to Hawaii? I don't know, because man, I gotta give it up to this brother. He has an eye for where he wants to do his videos, man. So big ups to Clutch Royale and big ups to Kiah Victoria. What else is going on? Man, I wanted to mention something and I totally forgot what I was gonna talk about. But anyway, we're gonna continue on with this last segment of the show, and we're gonna go into the news you need to know, and we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Around the world and right in your neighborhood, it's the news you need to know.
AT&T prepares merger with Discovery Channel. AT&T is in talks with Discovery Inc. to add to its media assets in its portfolio. It will involve Discovery's reality TV empire to rival Netflix and Walt Disney Company. AT&T also owns CNN, HBO, Cartoon Network, TBS, TNT, and Warner Brothers Studios. The Discovery Channel owns HDTV, Food Network, TLC, and Animal Planet. Discovery's Class A shares has risen 18% this year, valuing the company at almost $24 billion. AT&T has gained 12%, giving it a market cap of $230 billion. The company has been spending billions on rolling out its 5G network and expanding its fiber optic footprint. It also has cut back on staff and selling underperforming assets such as Crunchyroll to Sony Corp, Puerto Rico phone operations, a stake in Hulu, a Central European media group, and all of its offices in New York Hudson Yards. The Discovery deal could give the company enough programming to compete with Netflix and other streaming services. HBO Max is one venture which launched a year ago. The company is strategizing on how to combine all of these media parts as one entity in this new streaming era. Colonial Pipeline restarts pipeline services. After nearly 6 days of fuel coming to a halt, Colonial Pipeline has restarted its fuel services along the East Coast, giving some relief to motorists last Saturday. The 5,500-mile pipeline restarted on last Wednesday, and it took some time for the operations to stabilize. The news rushed through major media when Colonial Pipeline was hacked by unknown computer terrorists demanding $5 million in cryptocurrency. The company reluctantly paid in order to unscramble the data so they could resume pipeline service. Reuters notes that this is, quote, one of the most disruptive cyber attacks on record, triggering widespread panic, unquote. 13,400 gas stations were affected by the attack. The hacking group called themselves DarkSide and said it has hacked 4 other companies, including a Toshiba subsidiary in Germany. Unfortunately, Colonial Pipeline's predicament shows the inefficiency of an ailing and archaic energy source, as well as the network security flaws that so many companies utilize for their operations. And that is the news you need to know. All right, so we're here. Let's get into the last segment. Let's get into, of course, one of my favorites. One of my small little miniature passions is I just love the growth of comic book movies and just comics in general, superhero movies. When I was a kid, I used to collect comics. Now it has grown to being full-fledged in the movie theaters, big screen and small screen, as we already know with Disney Plus and HBO Max. Amazon Prime. And and Netflix now, and in case of this Netflix, we have Jupiter's Legacy. So, all right, so Jupiter's Legacy, it's another spin-off, or I guess you want to say just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's another iteration or another different take, a fresh look off of the superhero genre. So I saw this on Netflix and I was like, oh, okay, Netflix is getting into this. And I at first I was kind of like, I don't know if this is gonna be good, because am I reaching my limit to the whole superhero genre thing? Because I feel, Marvel, okay, they, DC, all right. Now it's like, Amazon, okay, Amazon Prime, they got The Boys, dopeness. I love The Boys. I love it hands down. But my thing is, I guess if you're going to do a superhero movie, do something fresh, do something new that we haven't already seen in the well-known ones, like DC and Marvel. So, all right, so we have Jupiter's Legacy, and it's all about, these group of people that, are coming up in the 20s or 30s, whenever the housing market crash happened. And then, I'm not going to get into too many spoilers. And I guess if you haven't seen Jupiter's Legacy, I might let something slip out. So my bad for it. So listen to this at your own risk. I'm just going to go off on my own thing. I'll try not to slip out any spoilers for those that haven't seen it. So, it's about these group of people in the 20s, 30s, whatever, that this guy runs a business with his father. And for whatever reason, this guy gets the calling and they have to go on this long mission to figure out their destiny to be these superheroes. So it's a spinoff from, kind of like the Justice League. And what should I say? The whole point of this segment is I saw someone doing something, a review, one of my favorite movie reviewers, and I figured, I haven't done a movie review in a long time. Let me see if I can, throw my 2 cents into it. So, Jupiter's Legacy, and I'm gonna break it up into things I loved about it and then things that I hated. Sure, the thing that I love. Let's start with that. The storyline was cool. I think the fact that these superheroes age and have kids, I think that's super dopeness, as opposed to how we understand cartoons and comics to be, especially American cartoons and comics. The main characters, they stay one age, and that's how we know them to be for the 10, 20, 30, 40 years that we read up or watch these characters. And, and we got used to it. But I think the difference in how Japan does their cartoons and comic books, I guess, there is such a thing as famous comic books from Japan, but I guess mostly with anime, you see these characters get old, they have kids, their kids have kids, and you kind of I think you have an attachment to these characters because you're living this life with them as they grow. As funny as that may sound. One big example is Dragon Ball Z with Goku. You see Goku get older. You see, matter of fact, you see him as a baby, then he's a teenager, then he's a young adult, like middle-aged, and then you see him have kids, and Gohan and all his kids that he has, and his kids has kids, and I love it. I love it. So I like the fact that Jupiter's Legacy kind of plays into that, and seeing these characters get old and they have kids, and what are the ramifications of it? What are the consequences of being a superhero and also being parents? And I thought that was super dope. It's cool, and that plays a big part in Jupiter's Legacy when it comes to the older characters and the new superhero characters through their kids. How's this play out, with the code, quote unquote, the code that the main superhero talks about and stands by. So you have the characters. You got Josh Duhamel, I guess you want to say Duhamel, whatever you want to say. He plays Sheldon Sampson, the Utopian. You have Leslie Bibb as Grace Sampson, Lady Liberty, that's the wife. You have Ben Daniels, the brother to Sheldon Sampson, as Walter Sampson, Brainwave. You have David Julian Hirsch as Dr. Richard Conrad. He's Blue Bolt. Matt Lanter as George Hutchins. He's Sky Fox. Mike Wade as Fitz. He's the Flare. Elena Kampouris as Chloe Sampson. And I like Chloe Sampson. I really like who she is. Andrew Horton as Brandon Sampson, Paragon, the son to the Utopian. You have Ian Quintanas as Hutch Hutchins. I thought that was a hot character. He doesn't have any powers, but he does utilize one specific tool, I think that's kind of hot. You have Tanika Davis as Petra Small, Flare 2. You have Anna Akana as Raikou. You have Kara Royster. She is Kara Royster, excuse me. Anna Akana as Raikou, Kara Royster. And you have Tyler Mane as Black Star, the evil dude. And there are a couple of other superheroes, and other characters, but those are the main ones as far as the superhero group is concerned, right? And they form the Union of Justice, I think they're called. So I like the characters overall. I like how they play against each other with their roles. I like the whole background of how they came to be. The special effects, in general, they were cool. It was cool. The big thing was the de-aging on Brainwave. Now, I don't know. I guess they put most of their money in this de-aging technology because let me tell you, I saw The Irishman and they de-aged my guy. Oh my God, The Irishman. I can't. I always forget my man's name. Let's see here, The Irishman. What's his name? Cast. All right, Robert De Niro. They didn't de-age his character, but it wasn't really that good, right? The technology wasn't there, but when they did Ben Daniels as Walter Sampson and they DH, I thought that was kind of hot. I was like, wow, they did their thing. The rest of the special effects was all right, I guess, for Netflix. But I've seen better CGI and special effects in other Netflix movies. So I don't know about this one. I guess they had a specific budget and they had to be careful where they put their money. So what I also liked, I like the flawed characters, superhero characters. You can't always be goody two shoes like from GM. What am I talking about? You can't always be goody two shoes like in Marvel or DC, like Superman and Spider-Man. I mean, I love flawed superhero characters because they're human beings in real life. We are good and we are bad. We have some good parts to us. We have some bad parts to us. Now, how does this work when you're a superhero? And that's why I really connect with Elena Kampouris as Chloe Sampson and the struggle that she has to go through. That's why I like The Boys. The Boys are flawed superheroes. I mean, you can't even call them superheroes. They're anti-heroes that, have their own idiosyncrasies, and you love them for everything that they are, and you see their growth or their failure, and that's just as good. So I like that as what I seen with Jupiter's Legacy. The other thing that I loved, as I said, I loved Elena Kampouris as Chloe Sampson. Tortured because of the fact that she's the daughter of the utopian. Like, what does it mean to be a superhero and also a parent? Because you have to save people's lives and go around the world, and you can't be there for those great moments for your daughter or for your son or for your family, because you have taken on this responsibility to be the savior of the earth. And that's a real thing that you don't see in DC or Marvel. Now they're kind of playing with that because they have the new Superman series, and he has 2 kids with Lois, and they're kind of exploring that story. But it's not something that's canon. It's not, Superman doesn't have children. That's just what it is. He's just the mild-mannered dude that, he's the reporter at the what is it? I can't, the Daily Planet. So yeah, man. But I like where this is going as far as the struggle and how she's torn apart, this relationship that she has with her dad, and also it's the same thing with the utopian son. Who's the utopian son? I already have it up here. This is a beautiful slide of all the characters, man. I think it's super dope. Why is this not working? I was working and going through all the characters. What is going on? This thing is not working. I have this thing where the characters... Oh, man, it's glitching the site. It had... Why, man? I swear. It's freaking... There you go. All right, so it's working. So, here we go. Where was I? I see all these characters here. Shoot, I forgot where I was at. Man, whatever. Yeah, so all these characters here, I don't even understand like Black Star. Black Star is all right. I don't know. I was kind of like, yeah, I've seen the grotesque look, but has this regular human nature behavior with him, and I've seen it before. Black Star is cool, but he's really not like a main character. There's no depth to him. He's just there. I guess he just moves the story along. So yeah, I guess so. I like the fact of the origin story of the characters, jumping from the 20s to the present, and you see the growth and you see how they started. I thought that was kind of hot, how they were going back and forth. What else? Last but not least, what I liked, the mission on finding the powers. I think I said that. They had to prove themselves through each stage of them on this mission, and showing their character and who they are, and they got their powers. So all in all, these are the things that jumped out to me in this series. I think it definitely has potential on where it's going. The writers just have to take their time to kind of flesh out these characters. And yeah, man, so those are my loves, my likes for this show. I think it has great potential. Now let's moving on to the things that I don't like about this. The main thing, man, I hate the hairpiece that Josh Duhamel is wearing, man. It looks so freaking fake. Every time I see him go back and forth, and then all of a sudden he's a utopian, he's got this long gray hair. I'm like, it just looks like a wig sitting on top. Yo, it's bad. This wig is bad. Like, I can't get over it. Every time they go into the present day of the utopian, and I see Josh just walking around with this stupid wig on his head, I'm like, damn, they couldn't put money into a wig. Like, you could watch movies and you will never know it's a hairpiece. I'm like, what? He didn't grow his hair? And this one is just sitting on his head. You have to watch it. You probably seen it even in the trailer. Like, oh man, it's so terrible. I hate looking at this dude. I'm like, it's like you could just pull it right off. Like, oh my God, I hate it. Yeah, number two, I hate I hate when movies do offshoot superhero characters. Like, you can see plainly they're imitating the main characters of DC Marvel. You know, you can see, okay, this character, okay, he's Batman. He's like, all right. Okay, that dude, yeah, he's the Flash. Oh, that must be the Aquaman equivalent. I hate that. I think that's where they went wrong with Jupiter's Rising. Jupiter's Legacy. I was like, I hate, to me, it's just lazy writing in the writer's room. Like, let's come up with powers that you don't normally see. Let's play up those powers and, you know, think of creative ways where they can use them or their weaknesses. I'm like, but I just hate, because I've seen that a couple of times in cartoons and in these superheroes flick. It's just like, there's no creativity to who the main characters are and their powers. It's like, okay, he's dressed in all black with the cape. Okay, that must be Batman. Yeah, I didn't like that too much. It was just kind of cheesy. What else I didn't like? Okay, here's a spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. I didn't like Sheldon Sampson, utopian. I mean, where did this dude get his nightmares and his visions from? They say that, his pops died, and all of a sudden he's going through this emotional turmoil. He's stressed out, trying to kind of deal with the death of his father, and all of a sudden, he's starting to get in these nightmares and the visions. I'm like, what? Why did the death of his father trigger these nightmares? Like, where did it come from? And the whole way through, when they kept on going back and forth, kind of going through this story of Sheldon Sampson, dealing with these dreams, these nightmares, it was always in the back of my mind. I'm like, how come they didn't say, like, okay, when the father was young back in the 1880, he was this explorer, or he bumped into some explorer that introduced him to an object, or he had this epiphany and he was given this mark or experience that was passed down through his son, and that was the source of why Sheldon Sampson was having these visions, these nightmares. It just happened out of nowhere. I'm like, where did this trauma come from? And it makes sense to me. I didn't like that. You may think that is small, but I was just like, what? Why is this happening to him? One thing I didn't like, the special effects. I know in the things that I loved or liked, I know I said I liked the special effects in some ways, but in this case, I hated the special effects. Some of the scenes just came off cheesy. I was like, oh man, come on now, this is Netflix, man, they got money. I just didn't. The only character that I really dug his superpowers was Ben Daniels as Walter Sampson Brainwave. I just like the fact how he put himself in a whole nother world with the person that he was, giving him the woo-woos to. And the way, everything was kind of blocked and checked, and all of a sudden, that disappeared and he disappeared and it reappeared as something else. I thought that was kind of hot, explaining his powers as Brainwave. But the special effects, yeah, you already know from what I said before. Okay, next thing. All right, so as a black viewer, you know how I'm gonna come, right? You know what I'm gonna say. Yo, I hated Mike Wade Flair, man. I didn't like him. I didn't like him. I want to share something for you, and I'm going to share something personal. It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. For every black character that comes out, I don't understand why they have to be crippled. Why do they have to be handicapped? Like, who is a superhero that came out back in the day? I was feeling the same way. What was saying? The Mantis? It was a TV show back in the day. TV show, but it was by a black character. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it was Mantis. So this dude is a superhero they call Mantis. He wears a suit. I forgot, I don't know, he's, I think, a professor or something like that in the TV series. It didn't go on for that long. It had 22 episodes. It had 2 seasons. So in his life, you know, I guess his secret identity was this guy that was in a wheelchair. I'm like, and at the time I was like, why you gotta be in a wheelchair? Because you didn't see that many superhero or black men as superheroes on television. And so when you finally had one, this guy was crippled in real life. I was like, I don't want to knock people that are handicapped. You know, you can see your likeness in these people, but I'm like, yo, why they gotta? That's my personal opinion. Don't hate on me. Don't trip on me. It's something that comes up in my mind. And you're gonna say, Nova, what else have you seen where a character is crippled? I can't think of it. Anyway, all right. So I don't understand. And then this guy, he's crippled, right? So he's a superhero at the beginning of this. And then fast forward into present day, he's gray, like everybody else. They're older, and he's crippled in a wheelchair. They didn't explain why he was crippled. I don't know why. They didn't give a brief flashback why he ended up in a wheelchair. But I was like, damn, man. And I just didn't like. And plus, they didn't really do anything with his character. Any of the black characters or the people of color, any of them, the woman characters in Jupiter's Legacy, none of them had any fleshed out stories. And that, when you can watch a movie and see how they play these characters, what they write for them, you pretty much know it's an all-white room full of men. Because you see these characters, they're like, so what's your deal, bro? And he didn't have one, and I was like, huh, what? Oh, you so corny, bro. And I was like, I don't know, man. I just didn't like his character, and he was just a tool. He was just a painting. He was a vase in the show. He was just there. He was a black guy. It seemed like he just fit. He was there for diversity. All right, throw a black guy in there, throw a woman in there. Okay, we got diversity. Let's concentrate on these other guys. I was like, that's how I felt, because he what was his motivation? What was his role or his purpose? Or why was he there? Other than the fact that he was a black guy. So I was like, oh my God, it's so corny. The other thing what I didn't like about it was, what was the other thing? Oh man, the other thing that I didn't like about his character was when they go back into the 20s and 30s. Of course, when he's younger with his father, they worked for Josh Duhamel. I can't pronounce his name. Josh D. I'm gonna say Josh D right now. So Sheldon Sampson. This father and son, the black guy, worked for Sheldon Sampson, right? So they were the loyal employees to the company, right? So they were having this discussion or issue that was going on with the company, that they were saying, hey, we're gonna shut down the doors. Sorry, blah. All the employees was like getting riled up because of that. They were losing their jobs. And then the father and son steps in and was like, no, you can't talk to Mr. Sampson like that. And then the other white characters, they were like, oh, okay, all right, we're sorry. And they just walk. I'm like, wait a second. If we're gonna do a period piece, and superhero movies are famous for this. They do a period piece, and the characters, they make it up like everything racially was okay in the 1920s. No, it wasn't. In real life, they would have been checked like, who you talking to there? Like, know your place, get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, come on, let's be real. I hate when they do that. And with superheroes movies, man, this is not a Disney movie. No, and if you want to play a period piece in the 1920s where you want to understand the racial dynamic between a black employee and a white employee, the black employee wasn't all boisterous and loud and in your face. Even, I'm not saying they were real people that didn't act like that, but there were consequences to it. But that's why most of the employees, the black employees at the time, was like, oh, you can't talk that. That's a nice white man. Like, let's play it real. And then you can kind of tie that into the character of what's this dude's name? Flair. Like, okay, he was treated like that as a black employee, as a black man in America in the 1920s at the time. He gains his powers. He wants to help save people, but he also has to save people that don't like him. What does he do? That shows the struggle in him being a superhero as the black man in the 1920s. Play that up, man. What does he do now? He gets these powers. How does he deal with people that don't like him, that are racist towards him? Not him as a superhero, but him as a regular guy that really can't show that he has powers as he plays out himself as a quote unquote secret identity working at the company or whatever company he plays at. Like, how does that kind of fit into him as a black man in the story? And to me, that is extremely powerful, and it is such a great storyline of how you play this black man in the 1920s that could pretty much destroy a whole city block. But he can't, because for obvious reasons. He can't give himself up. He can't let his strength and his powers get the best of him and take over and bring out the darker side to him. So let's play into that. What happens when it does kind of go out of place, or where he does lose control? Does it take over him as a superhero that could possibly turn him into a supervillain? I'm just saying, play this out. Or does he understand the responsibility of being a superhero and kind of puts it under control and steps into his role as a part of the Union of Justice, whatever that group is called? Yo, that is such a hot storyline, man. That's why I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's why I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier so much, because they did not shy away from race in the storyline. They pulled it in. They made it a part of how should I say, the character of the whole TV show on Disney Plus. They made it a part of the characteristic of the TV show. And that's what made Falcon and Winter Soldier so strong. That's what had people gravitating to the story so closely, so intimately. White and black people, not just black folk, but everybody. It was like, yo, that's why people like Captain America so much. Especially when the second Winter Soldier came out. It was like, man, how are we gonna play this? How are we going to make this exciting for the fans, the viewers? And because it plucks real life situations and uses it in the movie, that's what it's the strength of Captain America. Like, yo, that's hot, because a part why Captain Marvel and let's say Guardians of the Galaxy work so well is because they throw you into these fantastical galactic stories, and they could come up with anything that you want. You can't really do that with Captain America. So how can you make Captain America competitive for the eyes of and the ears of the fans that liked Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel and Avengers and all these things, and make it as exciting as these other stories? And it's the storyline, when they take real life situations and they make it a part of the movie. That's what makes it hot. And how does it play against the characters, and how do you connect to it as the fan of Marvel and Captain America? Man, it's hot. They could have took a lesson out of Marvel as far as Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and use it for this character in Jupiter's Legacy. They dropped the ball, man. They dropped the ball. So, again, that's just indicative to me that it was probably an all-white male writers group in this production. Yeah, so that was my take. The other thing, I wasn't too much of a fan of the costumes. I think it was kind of corny. I didn't like the costumes. I think the best costumes, the best superhero suits was Ben Daniels as Walter Sampson. I love that joint. and Tanika Davis when she played Petra Small Flare 2. I thought that was, I think she had the hottest suit. It was a great blend. And it's funny, right? I'm looking this up, and in actuality, the costume designer used sneaker technology of today as influence in how these superhero suits were going to be. Actually, this was in Variety.com, and who's the name of this costume designer? Let me see if I can see it for Wolf. Liz Wolf. Shout out to Liz Wolf. Shout out to Liz Wolf for being creative on what these superhero suits were gonna be like for Jupiter's Rising. Why do I keep on saying Jupiter's Rising? It's not Jupiter's Rising. Is it Jupiter's Rising? Jupiter's Legacy. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Jupiter's Legacy. So shout out to Liz Wolf for, she was going in the right direction. So she partnered, it seems like, with the creators of Nike. And she said Wolf wound up partnering with the developers of Nike's Flyknit, who have also worked with Yeezy and Tesla to apply their 3D engineered knitting strategy, which translates complex textual designs into single piece footwear to entire costumes. So Wolf used that as inspiration for these superhero suits. And I knew there was something about it that I was like, why does this look so familiar? When, I'm watching these superheroes in their suits. I'm like, why does this pattern look familiar? But I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And now reading this article in Variety with Liz Wolf, it says so much. It's super dopeness. When you see what's her name? I have to go back to my notes. I don't know all these people. Tanika Davis is Petra Small, Flare 2. Now it's like it comes together like, oh, okay, I see how these color schemes happen in the patterns. Super dope. I loved it. I just think she missed the ball in a couple of suits. I just thought Sheldon Sampson, the Utopian suit, was corny. I didn't really like the suit. I really didn't like Lady Liberty's suit. It was nasty. I was like, what? Why are all these colors coming into what's going on here? What's going on? It was just, to me, it was clashing. But she was so much on the mark with Tanika Davis suit, man. It was super dope. So last thing I like to say before we get out of here, the end master plan with the brother, again, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen it, I hope you're not listening to it, but I guess if you listen to it at this point, you really don't care. So the master plan, Ben Daniels as Walter Sampson, Brainwave, his master plan, I didn't really get it. I was like looking at it and I was like, I don't understand how Black Star and copying him. I guess they were trying to make it real slick and layered and complex, and I guess they wanted to make the people, the viewers, be like, oh my God. But when you look at it and it's like, why did he copy Black Star? Why is he putting it? Oh, okay, I guess he wanted to blame Sky Fox, but what I don't understand why. And then why did he put himself in the copy of Black Star's mind, like to set himself up? I didn't understand it. I didn't really get it. I liked the character. I definitely liked the character. It kind of reminds me of the Utopian and Brainwave. Kind of reminds me of Thor and Loki, but it wasn't like egregious in a way where it was a total ripoff. But I can see the similarities between the two. But I think it's hot. I can't wait for the second season to really kind of come into play, how these characters are going to get at each other, the brothers. I think that's kind of cool. Please don't make it like a Loki Thor thing. Let it rip in another direction, man. But that's my take on this superhero show, Jupiter's Legacy. I don't know why the show's title keeps on leaving my mind, but yeah, I think I guess on a 1 to 5, 1 being the least, 5 being the most, and liking it the most, I think I give it a 2.5. Yeah, I give it a 2.5. 2.5, knowing that it can be exponentially better if they kind of change up the direction of, or change up the people in the writing room. Like it was, to me, there was a lot of missteps. It has potential. but it was just a lot of missteps that they were repeat issues that we always see in movies and in superhero shows. It's like, so it was a letdown. So yeah, man, 2.5, but it has such potential to be a great superhero show for Netflix. All right. So thank you guys for listening to me. I appreciate it. You guys are the best as always. Thank you for coming back every week, listening to me get into my thing. So we'll come in next week with a full show. And sorry for the lateness of the show coming out, man. But you know, things just happen in real life, and I try to do the best. And besides, bro, I did like over 100 shows. I probably was late on 3 of them. All right. So I guess, come on, it's okay to have a little room for some mistakes and missteps and all that anyway. So please, as always, as I say at the end, sign up for Lyfeblood.com. We're creating a community here of people sharing their passions and talking about a lot of different things, from anywhere between Jupiter's legacy and your passion in comic books and movies to, you know, your real life passions as a bioengineer. You know what I mean? And talking about topics like that, to politics and all that, and sharing your passions and getting $1 for what you do. And yeah, we're trying to create that community around the world. So this is one of my passions. I love superhero movies. I love what they are, as long as it can last. People gonna get superhero tired out, tuckered out. It probably will in a couple of years, but man, that train keeps on rolling with these superhero movies. And every time I think they're gonna kind of lose me on it, it's like, all right, okay, that's a fresh little take. So as long as they kind of like push the boundaries to this new wave of superhero movies, then, you know, I guess I'll always tune in at a certain point. So anyway, sign up. Let's be a part of this. Let's talk. Let's build. Let's create this world that we always want, that we talk about. And yeah, that's it. All right. So I'll see you guys next week. Peace and love and hair grease.
Check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com, for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.